Welcome to the Phantom Zone.
And this week's first episode is Wither, all-American killer plants at Lover's Lane. Then in Arrow, he's green, he robs the rich, and he shoots arrows. This is the Smallville Chronicles. Hello and welcome back. Hopefully you're alive and inside and doing your best to hunker down like all the rest of us. So listen to the podcast and watch Smallville. We have a couple of interesting episodes this week. But joining me as always is Alan Muir.
I really enjoyed these two episodes. Obviously the second one more because it's
like a full introduction to that character.
Yeah, and vastly different to the one that
Stephen Amell plays.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I think the Justin Hartley one, which we'll get into, is much more comic accurate.
Yeah.
Especially of the time period, but like still. But they're pretty fine. Like this first episode, I feel like it's a combo of Poison Ivy and what is this? The thing that Mongol uses, the Black
Mercy.
Black Mercy. I feel like it's very similar to that. I'm guessing that's where they took
inspiration.
Yeah, and it's the first episode of a zoner, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But I would also want to start off with like, have you been doing anything during your quarantine differently, or like watching anything or playing any games specifically?
Well, obviously it's March, so MLB, the latest MLB is out. Our MLB game is out.
Oh yeah, when does it? It didn't come out yet, right?
No, it's out. It's been out for like.
Oh really?
A little over a week.
21, it would be, right?
20.
Oh, 20. I always forget that they're always like a year behind, weirdly, in their games, like the number.
Well, they sort of do. Not necessarily. But like in the game in the series before the show, they were doing the Madden thing where they'd be like a year ahead in terms of title.
Now they're like the year of, like they're right.
Yeah, and this is the best. This is the best one, and I mean the whole consensus is that every single one is the best one, but this one is far superior.
I'll have to check it out. I've actually been playing. I'm like currently, because it's on Game Pass, 2K20, the NBA game. But like I've played Telltale Batman the first season, which was pretty good.
Oh god, I love their take on Oswald Cobblepot.
Oh yes, that's the best part of the game. What I don't like is
Vicky Vale.
No, I don't mind her. Is like their gigantic Brock Lesnar version of Harvey Dent.
Oh yeah,
he's like a foot taller than Bruce and 2 feet wider. I was like, what the shit's going on? Why does Harvey look like this? But everybody else was fine. I'm not a fan of their Alfred either, but I think that's because I love OG like animated Alfred. Like that version is kind of the one that's in my head.
Yeah, it doesn't. It also doesn't help that the model, like the Bruce Wayne model, looks like Archer.
Yeah, but like I don't mind that. I don't like the model of Alfred either. That he's like, I don't know why, but like I like the kind of bald with like a pencil mustache. Yeah, like that. I feel like he looks more sophisticated that way, which makes him more badass when he is badass. Like as opposed to this like weird gray coiffed hair.
Yeah, I mean, I played the game like a few months ago for something for the VGU TV channel on YouTube, and there's sort of like a comic that bridges the first two seasons.
Okay, because I know the second season was on. I think it was like a free game on PlayStation, like this month or last month.
I'm not sure, but like it's Batman Telltale series, Batman Sins of the Father, and then Batman The Enemy Within.
The Enemy Within is the one that was free. I didn't know that there was 3 different seasons.
Well, the Sins of the Father is the comic book bridge.
Oh, okay, the comic book one. Okay,
and explains like everything that happened with prior to Bruce becoming Batman and like everything that his father did, as its name implies.
Oh yeah, because this version is kind of like
Sort of like the R2 version.
Yeah, I was gonna say like the New 52 Earth 2 version. It's very similar to, or yeah, I guess that's like the best. They definitely take a lot from comic books of it because like the big villain is very similar to when they brought the Arkham Knight into the comic books. I think that was like a year ago, maybe a year and a half. Because I'm not trying to spoil too much of it, but like it's a very similar backstory for the villain to the Arkham Knight in the comic book version of Rebirth. But it was pretty fun. It was fine. The voice acting was fine. But afterwards, I played Lego DC Villains, which has like the entire animated cast, basically from the Diniverse, as well as Brandon Routh does like a couple voices, and Zach Levi does a couple voices in it.
I'm pretty sure Rosenbaum is in that game.
Yes, he is the Flash.
Yeah,
it's everyone from the animated universe. Specifically, it's like because it's the villains. It's a lot of oh my god. I'm forgetting the true names that play Lex and Joker.
Troy Baker.
No, from the animated, it is Mark Hamill and oh my god, I am blanking so hard. He's in everything. He's the voice of Mr. Krabs.
I know. I can see his face, but I just can't get a name.
He is the voice of Surther. Like he's the Kurgan. Oh man, you can hear me typing because I'm trying to pull up the IMDb.
The thing is, I just see his face from Detroit.
Yes, it's the same. Yeah, I think I bought it last Black Friday for like really cheap, and I like finally played it. Let's see. C. Thomas Howell plays Reverse Flash. Clancy Brown.
Yeah,
that's who he plays Lex Luthor. But there's like a lot of other big names that do it. Like Tara Strong does like all of her voices that she's always done. Gilbert Godfrey is Mr. Mixoplex. Fred Tacitor does like all the voices he's ever done. Trying to scroll through like all the big like voice acting people. John Barrowman does his voice for Malcolm Merlin. Kevin Conroy is Batman. Who the heck plays Superman? I cannot remember, but it's pretty cool because they do the DLC was there's Mask of the Phantasm.
Ooh.
2 for the Shazam movie, 2 for the Aquaman movie, and then a Young Justice. Like the kind of the ending of season 1 of Young Justice. So yeah, they do like a bunch of really cool stuff. Yeah, it was very fun, and like the Lego games are kind of perfect for the time. And there's the cast of characters is so ridiculous. Like everybody you can think of. They kind of use Lobo, like how Marvel uses Deadpool or Gwenpool in their Lego games. But also, if you have Game Pass, there's like a bunch of the other Lego games I think on there, and they're all really fun. But yeah, I've been doing that. Yeah, we can kind of get into this episode. I just wanted to say that just in case, like, it kind of ties in. There's not Smallville connected, but like it still has like a bunch of those DC characters, and it's really fun. So in this first episode, we have Jimmy and Chloe stalking or trying to get a good story, and they're at like a lover's lane, and then they're like, oh, we should be more convincing, and they're basically like, oh, we're going to start a relationship back up. And Chloe wants to take it slow, and they agree, but then they start crazy making out, and they hear a scream, and they find a dead girl impaled on a tree. So we flip over to the Kent farm, and Martha's like, oh, are you going to go to Lex's charity costume ball? Because he's holding it to benefit families affected by Dark Thursday. And Clark's like, no, I don't really want to go. Like, I don't really, like, he's just like kind of too broken up. And she's like, oh, like, the losses that you felt will help shape the person you are. And then Clark sees the newspaper, and it has Lana on there with Lex as the next Lex girl, which is like our segue. And Lex asks Lana to pick out a costume. She brings up the photograph and saying she doesn't want to be his newest arm candy. And he's just like, I'm sorry, like I've literally lived in front of cameras since I've been born, so like I don't even like notice them. And if you're going to be with me, like you can't let them bother you either. And Lana wonders like what happens when you can't get what you want. And basically he gives her an ultimatum because he wants to be more than roommates. And she says she needs time to be sure. and she usually puts too much trust in people. And Lex is like, well, no, you just put too much trust in Clark. And, basically like that he always makes her feel guilty, it's stupid and miserable. And he says he's done like paying for Clark's mistake and it's time for Lana to like make a choice. And then we jump to our fourth location. I guess back to the Kents, but with Lois. She answers the door and it's a tall, handsome blonde man. And this is Justin Hartley, who was in the last episode, I think, at the end.
Yeah.
Who has a letter from Queen Industries. She's like, oh, the messenger should aim higher than delivering for rich, arrogant shut-ins, and slams the door in his face.
Well, no, she doesn't slam the door first. She does slam the door in his face. That one's it back up. Just a tip. And look on Harley's face was very, very like, she really doesn't read the news. Or
yeah, he's amused by it, I feel like.
Yeah.
Especially by the tip. So Martha shows up and she's like, that was the CEO of Queen Industries, aka Oliver Queen. And Lois is like mortified kind of. And so Lois goes to Oliver's loft apartment, which we'll be seeing for forever from this point going forward, with an apology and a gift basket, which Oliver accepts if she goes to Lex's costume ball with him. And he already has a costume for her because I think this is like one of those things like, oh, I'm really good at knowing measurements kind of a thing. And we go to the Talon and Clark's visiting Chloe, who's staying with Lois. And she tells them about the couple in the woods and that they may have been a metahuman that killed her. He's going to help investigate. And he's like, oh, what were you doing at Makeout Point? And Chloe doesn't answer. And then Jimmy walks in from the back bedroom and Clark's just like, oh. But then they go to the woods where people are already searching, and Clark goes to where Chloe said she found the body, and then a mysterious park ranger named Gloria says hello to him, and that they've searched the area, but Clark uses his X-ray vision to find the body that's buried, like barely alive underneath the vines. So he tries to pull them away, but he can't cut through them. Now, this actress is Amber McDonald, who has basically done nothing except for the Aquaman pilot and this. I'm pretty sure she is the person that works at the bar in the Aquaman pilot that we had watched. But it's interesting that like for kind of Hartley's first episode that she's also in it, since that was before this.
Yeah, Amber McDonald was our third friend and business partner, Eva.
Yes, yeah, she owned the bar because it was her. What's her name? That was Wonder Woman in that other pilot, and there was like only three. There was like three women, and then the other one that was like the Air Force pilot.
Yeah.
So Clark, Chloe, and Jimmy go to the hospital, and they see strange pod-looking thing inside of the X-ray of his lung. Jimmy wants to take pictures and warn people, but Clark and Chloe are like, we have no idea what's going on, and Jimmy's annoyed by it, which is like, I think this is when the subplot of Jimmy being kind of jealous of their relationship and feeling like even though him and Chloe are a thing, that he's the odd man out. And so he goes to the woods on his own, and Chloe, like, he and Chloe are kind of going back and forth on what their relationship is. And basically, Clark, it gets like a little goofy, but Clark is like, oh, like Luthor Corp owns a greenhouse by the woods. It's probably their fault. Chloe's like, are you saying that because you think it, or are you just trying to throw stuff on Lex? And Clark rattles off a bunch of reasons and goes to the greenhouse. Jimmy's taking pictures, and then he's ambushed by Gloria, who pushes him down, and vines grow around him. So that's our Poison Ivy lady. It doesn't really take too long for her to jump in here, which the plant stuff it's all practical, but it looks not great. It looks very like bad horror movie.
Yeah, I was getting horror flashbacks to the Evil Dead remake.
Oh, I haven't seen the remake, but
I mean, it's not bad, but there was a scene that was just not good.
Oh, is there tree rape? Because that's in the original.
Yeah.
Okay. So Lex goes to the greenhouse. Lord Lex finds Clark at the greenhouse. They argue about Lana. And basically Clark's like, she's going to find out how evil you are. And Lex is like, you know what? I'm done with like you kind of coming and going on my property. Get the hell out. And Lana goes to Chloe's apartment to discuss her relationship with Lex. And Chloe just kind of listens. And she's like, I have trust issues. Mostly I don't trust myself. And Chloe's like, you can't just keep waiting and watching. If you want something to change, you have to make that decision. Or take, like, you have to take, basically she says, like, shit or get off the pot. At the hospital, Chloe tells Clark that her botany professor could only tell her that the vine was foreign to Earth and it was a female, which I don't know. Like, plants don't work that way. And also, how would he know it's not from Earth? Unless, I guess, it had some sort of element that isn't natural. But this is the hand waviness. So the paramedics arrive with the female park ranger's body. When Clark learns that it's not Gloria, he's like, oh, she was an imposter. And he speeds away. Ellie goes to check on the first boy, who now has vines growing out of his entire body, covering the hospital room. Which I actually do kind of like that it's like super horror, like trauma style, like body horror with that.
Yeah.
And she notices the vines are around the light switches and the plugs are all dead. So the vines are trying to get energy. Gloria explains that she was put in the Phantom Zone for trying to overtake planets with her vegetation and escaped when Clark did, which gives us our bad guys for the whole season, the Zoners. She's like, I intend to go to Lex's party to find other suitors, and straps Clark to the tree with vines, but since she's an alien, he can't just get out. He notices Jimmy, but then passes out. And then as they pull back, it's not that because he passes out, it's not that he's just tied up. There's actually, like, he's impaled through the chest. So Chloe gets there and she uses a taser to get the plants to go away. And Clark heals up, and once he's free, he tells her where to find Jimmy. And she's like, oh, electricity kills the vine. So he's like going to go stop Gloria while she calls the paramedics for Jimmy. When they arrive, she takes matters into her own hands because he probably has a pod in him, and she defibrillates him.
Oh god, this seems so funny because it's like no, you can't. We're not going to defibrillate him, and they walk off to the front of the ambulance,
which they would never do.
Yeah, she goes in and like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, these are armed.
Yeah, and they would just not be like they're just always on.
Be arrested.
Yes, and one of them would stay in the back with her anyway. So he wakes up instantly. He's like, oh. Clark goes to the greenhouse and interrupts Gloria from becoming an next victim of party. Yes, she knocks him back with more vines, which grow around the greenhouse, knocking heat lamps out of the ceiling. Clark uses his heat vision to set up the sprinklers, which shorts out the lamps and electrocutes Gloria. And
she just disappears.
Yeah, she doesn't like dust, but she kind of just like vaporizes. Yeah. Then we go to the ball, and we see that there's obviously, like, Oliver and Lex are not friends. I would say, like, they're not even, like, they're kind of frenemies, or they're not even that. They're, like rivals, I guess. But Lex is in a good mood because Lana shows up, and they have an evening together. At the end of the party, Oliver takes Lois home. She doesn't give him a kiss, saying he'll have to earn it. And she challenges him to hit a can off of a dumpster with an arrow because he's dressed up like Robin Hood. And then he misses. She leaves. Oliver smiles, and they reveal that he took off the top of the can, and it's on the wall. And then we get the Luther Mansion. Lex and Lana get busy while in front of the fireplace while Clark broods in his loft, knowing that that's, I guess, going down. Which I guess with his super hearing, he could probably hear, which is gross. And that's the end of this episode. Yeah, so it's a fun, like, goofy episode. We get to see, like, a bunch of stuff, and this is kind of more set up for the Zoners and the Lex and Oliver kind of thing that goes on, they're like season 9?
More of stuff that goes on from
But I mean, like, they're kind of, like, specifically Lex and Oliver's thing, like, them hating each other is, like, goes on till, because Oliver was at the Toyman thing, right? But it's not Rosenbaum in, like, a Bane outfit in the back of a truck.
Yeah.
I think that's season 9.
I think it's not. I think season 7, like 8 or 9. Yeah,
because it's after Rosenbaum is gone, because it's not him.
Yeah, it was them effectively killing off, quote unquote, real Lex before all the clone situation stuff happened. Yeah, their clone saga. Oh god, man. Which we don't even. They start the clone stuff like real soon in this, because it's in this season, isn't it? With his brother. No,
Julian?
that's next season.
Oh, that's season 7? Okay. Oh, because it's when Lois starts working at the
At the planet.
planet. So, it's a pretty fine episode. It's like a good, goofy episode. I do think it does a great job of showing who Oliver is. So in this, he's very, like, he's a businessman, he's rich, he's a playboy, but he's nice. Like, he's very funny and charming. Much more of, like, he's much more personable than Stephen Amell's version, which is much more like the comic, where he's not Batman. He's kind of the other side of the coin to Batman.
Yeah, well, this version, or this is basically their equivalent of Batman, since they can have him on the show.
Yeah, which is funny that he's been that twice.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. Like, it makes sense because they're basically start off as the same character. Like, they're two sons of billionaire famous families who have tragedy strike them and their parents are dead.
Well, same with Huntress.
Yes. Yeah, but her family is criminals. Is the difference.
I know, but it's more of the mafioso version of the Waynes.
Yes. And then Oliver getting trapped on the island has kind of always been a thing, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Which is funny, because Lex also got trapped in an island in the show. So our second episode, Arrow, we get more Green Arrow, which they pretty much say from the jump, they call him Green Arrow. And this is the first time we get to see the costume. So we start off with Martha and Lionel and Oliver are attending a fundraiser. Lois is Oliver's date. Martha is wearing a necklace that Lionel loaned her. He wants to like show her off so that she could run, because she's currently a Kansas state senator, and he's trying to get her to run for the U.S. Senate, which is a strange thing that they do, but I kind of like them giving Martha stuff to do.
Yeah, post Jonathan dying.
Yeah, and it makes her a more powerful character, although it plays out in a very weird way later on in the series.
Yeah, the stuff with Checkmate.
Oh, the Checkmate stuff's so weird. So Martha's about to make a speech, the lights go out, and a masked man appears and steals the necklace and runs away. Lois follows him, but he uses a bow and arrow to shoot up to the elevator shaft, which is basically the exact same effect they still use. He pulls her in close and grabs the chain off her neck that has a ring on it before he disappears. So then we go, Oliver takes Lois back to Queen Tower, and we see his loft again. She's questioned by Lionel's security firm, Safetex, which I believe comes back into play later in the series. Or did it already? I don't remember. I feel like they're used all the time. Because I think it's the company that what's-his-name from Arrow worked for when he got killed off at some point earlier. Oh, whatever. Clark arrives and meets Oliver. Oliver admits that Clark is not what he expected. He's like, from Lois's depiction, I thought you were going to be like this little geek and not someone who's like 6'5" towering over me. And Clark is like, the necklace, he wants the necklace recovered so that his mom doesn't owe anything to Lionel. But Oliver is like, basically like anybody that gets into bed with Lionel, like knows like is as dirty as him. And basically is like, oh, and Clark's like, yeah, over a dozen of Metropolis's richest citizens have been robbed. And that also Lionel didn't even call the police about the current theft. And we cut to Lex and Lana. They're returning from their jog when Dr. Grohl, who will be a character playing forward for a while, shows up. He says there are results of the test he conducted on the disk fragment. He explains that it's extremely potent power source, but it could also be used as a weapon. Lana wonders, like, why did you hand it over to the government? Like, Lex guesses that Grohl wanted to figure out what it is and encourages to keep working on it. This is like when, he comes in and he like kind of looks at Lex and Lex is like, it's okay, you can say whatever in front of her. We cut to Lois goes to Chloe at the planet to ask her to help her research her story. She doesn't want to tell Chloe about it because I guess she wants to write it on her own. But it's like, basically, it's like you don't know how to really maneuver the plant database. So Lois gives the ring to Chloe, who photographs the inscription. They're interrupted when an arrow lands and spews green gas, because we get trick arrows in this show.
I was happy to see that.
Yeah, which we do get at certain points in the Arrow show, but then they kind of drop it. But like, it's like a gimmick from, I think, like the 80s, before like they kind of reinvented the character.
Before he got real gritty.
Yeah. When they did Longbow Hunters, I think is when that all changed. So they pass out, and the masked man collects the ring, and he takes it back to Queen Tower and sets it next to a framed picture of a couple and their young song. If you didn't know already, it's Oliver Queen. Lionel called Lana to his office. She assumes that he wants to talk about their relationship. Lionel's like, no. But a few weeks ago, Lionel was willing to kill Lex because of his obsession with alien tech, and now you put that behind you. And she says she's protecting Lex from himself to make sure he's not consumed with it. And Lionel's like, Lex is never going to stop. And it's like, you need to destroy the technology. Lois tells Oliver that she intends to write an article about the Green Arrow Bandit, which is like a really goofy way of getting the name of the character into the show. So Oliver mentions that she doesn't have much evidence with the ring stolen. She's like, I don't care. I'm willing to stretch the truth a bit. And Oliver admits that he worries that anyone after the Green Arrow will target her as well. But Lois says she wants to see him locked up. Oliver is like kind of trying to get her off the subject and offers her a trip, but Lois turns him down. And then we go to Clark's at Lionel's office, construction site, and why he didn't report the incident to the police. And Lionel's like, oh, I don't want to avoid bad publicity. And Clark shows him that basically there's a list of SafeTech's clients that have stolen items from. Lionel tells Clark he should track down which one of SafeTech's clients hasn't been hit, because that'll tell you who it is. And then we pop over to Lana meeting with Dr. Grohl, and she informs him that Lionel intends to bribe Dr. Grohl into giving him the black box containing the powerful disk fragment. Whatever he offers, she instructs him to come to her first. Grohl hesitates, and Lana threatens to ruin his life if he doesn't comply. And Lex finds out. Lex confronts Lana on her threat. She thinks he's angry, but he's like, I already know how dangerous the box is. And, Lex thinks that she wants to destroy it, but Lana basically is like, no, I don't want to destroy it. I want us to research it so we can figure out a way to protect ourselves from it happening again. And Lex is like, oh, she's not like as nice as I thought she was. She's more like me. And then we go to the Green Arrow, uses his gadgets to break into the mansion and steal an Egyptian necklace, but is interrupted by Clark. He tries to fight Clark, but obviously Clark's Clark. So Clark throws him across the room, tripping the security alarms. The Green Arrow tries to explain that he's on the wrong side, but Clark tells him the police would disagree. He tries to shoot Clark on the arrow, but Clark catches it. He shoots again and hits a guard. When Clark runs to check on the guard, the Green Arrow escape. Clark explains to Chloe that the Green Arrow got away, and he gives her the arrow tip he caught so she can research. He mentions that he is surprised Chloe allowed Lois to write the story, but Chloe says she doesn't see Lois as competition and admits that she has, in fact, done research on the story. She gives him the findings in the arrow and reports that none of her photographs on the ring came out cleanly, but she's working on restoring one. Lois is in her apartment, which this is where it's goofy because Clark has X-ray vision. He could have X-rayed the Green Arrow at any point and seen his face, but he didn't. And Lois is in her apartment. She's getting calls on possible Green Arrow sightings, but 2 men attack her. She calls Chloe screaming for help just as she's dragged off. Chloe sends Clark to save her, but when he arrives, they're gone. Oliver arrives, and Clark says he thinks the Green Arrow kidnapped her because she was trying to expose him. Oliver's like, yeah, but he's not done anything like that before. All he's ever done is stolen items that were bought off the black market. He believes Lois was taken in an attempt to catch the Green Arrow. So Chloe calls back and sends Clark an image of the ring. It's a family crest, which Clark remembers seeing in the Queen Tower and puts 2 and 2 together. And he's like, aha. So he speeds to the apartment and finds the secret room filled with all the stuff. And he sees that, there's large anonymous donations to charitable causes. And a security monitor sounds indicating a tracking system has been enabled. And Lois has a GPS on her, basically. Lois's attackers try to torture her into revealing the Green Arrow's identity by, I guess, not waterboarding her, but like pushing her head into a tank. And she's like, what are you talking about? You work for him. You're the ones that try to kidnap me, but then it's Milo from earlier. But basically it's like, you humiliated me by reporting the thefts to the police. Green Arrow has ruined my business by stealing from his clients. Lois says that she doesn't know who the Green Arrow is, and Milo almost drowns her. And he's like, whatever, she doesn't know, shoot her. And the gun goes off, and the bullet's deflected by an arrow, which...
I'm not sure. Would that even work?
No. The bullet's traveling way too fast.
like the JSA episode, High School Junior, he shoots the thing of like a bunch of like a barrage of icicles at Stargirl. Apparently, Oliver's arrows are strong enough to break all of them because that's what happens. God, the show is good.
See, like ice, I can kind of get a little bit more because it's like,
I mean,
ice isn't that as hard. It's not as dense, even if it's traveling that fast. But like a bullet's dense, like
yeah.
And most it would just like shatter the bullet and the arrow and just send shrapnel into her. But they do the same thing with like when Clark like heat visions bullets, like they wouldn't just fall; they would just throw like hot liquid metal at people. So when it go through them, it would just like fling hot metal on them. So Green Arrow arrives, takes everybody out. He gets the unconscious Lois and does like a kind of Luke and Leia thing, holds her and lifts up in like a goofy way. She gets the crossbow from him, which why he even has a crossbow is weird. Points at him, it's like, reveal your identity. And right when he's about to do it, there's some heat blasts that shoot into the sky and destroy the lighting, so she can't see his face. Clark is standing on the rooftop, and he's taking out the lights. And Lois looks around, but she can't see him. Clark catches up and is like, I know who you are. Oliver questions why you let him get away, and Clark basically is like, Lois probably wouldn't understand your double life, but I do. And you just give me back the necklace so I can return it to Lionel so my mom doesn't owe him anything. And so Chloe reports that 7 stolen artifacts have been recovered, along with more large anonymous donations. But Clark still thinks he broke the law, like negates his good deeds, and this is like the whole vigilantism and Clark, I guess, kind of being a hypocrite, which they do talk about. She asks him about the ring, and Clark lies and says it was a dead end. Chloe finds all her photographs of the ring have been deleted, and it's like, oh, just do me a favor and stop looking into him. And Chloe's like, oh, you know who it is, and he knows who you are, so okay, he's not a bad guy. Lionel meets Lex at the mansion, and Lex basically reveals that he asked Lionel to approach Lana about the box. He was trying to test her loyalty. And Lionel thinks that Lex will share what he knows about the box, but Lex maintains that he doesn't intend to tell Lionel anything. I think Lionel also makes comments about like how this is all going to blow up in your face. Lois informs Oliver, and she thinks the Green Arrow needs to be caught. Oliver shows up at the loft and is like, and Clark's like, your relationship with Lois isn't going to work out if you don't tell her the truth. And basically he's like, oh, is that what happened with you and Lana? And why Lana's with Lex? But he's like, yeah, but I don't intend to stop doing like his Green Arrow stuff. And he believes he has a duty to help people, and he gives Clark the necklace back. He tells Clark that Lionel bought the diamonds from a Bosnian warlord to launder money. Clark looks conflicted and asks if stealing is right, if it's for a good cause. Oliver tells him yes without hesitation, and then Oliver says that Clark should use his abilities to help everyone, not just those close to him. Sorry. He tells Clark to let him know when he's ready to use his abilities to help the world, thus setting up our Justice League leaders, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think this is like kind of a great full introduction for like this alter ego, and gives us like a comparison to both Clark and Lex and just like everybody, and everyone gets to kind of do a lot in this episode. Strangely, they do a good job of like juggling all the balls. But I think this is a good time to talk about the costume.
Yeah.
I don't mind it for the time period, and oddly enough, Arrow uses, I think it's like season 4 or 5, wore a similar outfit, like in design, not in material, where it's like it's almost sleeveless, kind of like a muscle shirt with like bands on his arms, and then like kind of glove gauntlet things. I think my biggest problem is the color. Like, it's so bright. And it is this thing where it's like like the leather look, but it's more like a pleather. And because there's 2 different shades of green, if it was all the darker green, I think it would have looked so much better. Because it kind of looks like the lighter green looks almost plasticky. I don't know. What do you think about the costume?
It's sort of like it heavily influenced the New 2 reboot of Green Arrow, like the comic series.
Mm-hmm.
And like when I was reading the series, it felt like they just took so much from this version of Oliver Queen.
Oh yes, like the first part of the reboot is very similar to this.
And it's sort of like I just posted a picture from Green Arrow News issue number or the zero issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole costume thing is something that
I'm looking at the things like I think the sunglasses are the worst part.
yeah, it's very
Like I feel like it's like, oh, we don't know how to make a mask like not look goofy, and we don't know how to do it where like we're not putting on the grease paint as well. Which they even had the problem in season 1 of Arrow, like where he was just using green grease paint, which is like, I can still see your face, guy. Like you just have some green smudge on you.
yeah. What was it that happened in season 2 when at the season 2 mid-season finale with the one that introduced Barry? Didn't he give him like a domino mask?
Cisco makes it for him. And Barry brings it to him, and he's like, oh, because that's the mask that post-Arrow ending that Barry gets as like a gift from Oliver in his will. He gets like that original domino mask. And they're like, oh, like he's like, yeah, if you can find something, he says like, if you can find something that like can move with my face and doesn't create any blind spots, sure, I'll wear a mask. And then they're like, oh, we can do that because you just have to say that it does that and not actually show it. And that's basically what they do, because that's the idea of the sunglasses. And even the comic, it's not even sunglasses. It's like, because there's no sides. It's like a stuck on eye goggles, because there's no band or like arms on it. It's just like on his face. But yeah, I never realized how much that version looks like the Smallville version. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I believe it's in the trailer for the DC MO. The Green Arrow isn't. He's only like his dead body is only in it for like the opening.
Oh yeah, the Elseworlds thing.
Yeah, it is also very much like it. It's
this supposed to be this character basically, or at least it's that costume.
Oh no! I'm talking about the DC Universe Online game.
Oh okay.
But yeah, on Earth 90, this version of Oliver Queen is seen dead, along with the Hawkman, Hawkgirl.
Oh yeah, from
Ray.
yeah, they basically made the Earth 90 like kind of a weird amalgam of like all the shows with that scene.
Yeah, which did make sense when it got to the Earth 167. But yeah, overall I really enjoyed this episode.
Oh yeah, I think it's a great compared to like the Cyborg and the Aquaman. I think it's also because they knew where they were going with this. I think he gets a much better intro than those two characters did, and the Bart episode. Although, no, the Bart episode's really good. I think the Bart episode's probably the best intro of those characters, and then this is the second best of like the superhero version of the character. But they were also setting up like this. He was becoming he's not a regular in this season, but he's like a featured, I guess.
He's recurring.
And he becomes a regular in the next season, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a pretty good episode. And
you know, we all make bad choices, Clark. All we can do is hope to make the right ones in the future, right?
Clark! Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you had company.
Chloe, Oliver Queen.
Oh, hi! I feel like I know you already. Lois talks about you all the time.
I was actually just gonna go see Lois right now. Maybe it's time I did some talking. Well, look, I'm looking forward to your article on Dark Thursday. I hope my satellite images helped.
Yeah.
Good. It's good to meet you. Clark?
In person, he is really...
Chloe, were you able to pull anything off the satellites?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm still sifting through the images, but I already found a handful of craters that match the one you made when you busted out of the Phantom Zone.
Which means more zoners on Earth. Did you find the one in India?
That was just a smoking hole, but I did find another one in Australia that I thought you might want to take a look at.
there someone in the crater?
I blew it up as much as I could. It's not very clear, but... What is that?
Raya.
Raya sounds like an amazing woman.
I wish you could have met her. She loved this place, this whole world. She barely had enough time to discover it before she gave her life to protect it.
It looks like Krypton gave us more than one hero. I'm so sorry, Clark.
When I was with Raya, I didn't feel alone anymore.
Clark.
Mom, I know how much you love me and how much Dad. But I've always felt different. It's because I am. And Raya was the first person I ever met who could really understand that. And I don't think I ever really thought about what I'd lost. A family, a whole race of people who were just like me. For the first time, I'm ready to stop running from who I really am. From my destiny.
You're training with Jor-El. You want to go.
But I can't. Not yet. Not until every prisoner that I release from the Phantom Zone is returned. Or destroyed.
So the next episode is
Reunion.
Oh yes, I actually think this is like really an interesting episode because it's it goes into like the backstory of
Lex and Oliver.
Yeah, which is like really cool, and it's the same actor that will play Oliver that will play him in any of the flashbacks, which is weird. It's like that character is definitely like 17, and how does he become Justin Hartley? But the other kid that plays Lex is the one that will end up playing Superboy and all that stuff going forward. But it's kind of an interesting take, and they bring back like the what is it? Not Warhawk. What's the character?
Warrior Angel.
Warrior Angel. Whole thing back into it, and it's interesting. And the other one is Fallout, which we get the return of Rhea and more Kryptonian stuff. Oh, I forgot. This is the one that's like, oh man, he's like he's like the radioactive man, kind of the zoner. Doesn't he jump from like into like somebody's body?
I think so.
Isn't it like Lil Bow Wow?
Yeah.
It is, right? It's Lil Bow Wow, or I guess now just Bow Wow, or he's not even Bow Wow anymore. He's just Guy. But yeah, we have those. So those are, I remember being pretty good episodes, especially Reunion is really good. You know, man, I'm looking at some of the effects for the Fallout one, and it's goofy. But you know, what can you do? But I do like the actress that plays Rhea does like a great job in this show as like a almost proto Supergirl for the second time.
Yeah.
It kind of was weird that they had her as a character at all, and not had Kara introduced at this point. But I think she gets introduced in season 7?
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, we have that, and if you have time, keep watching the show or listening to our show. Watch Smallville. You have a ton of time, and there's 10 seasons. And then watch all the other stuff's going on. I know Black Lightning finishes the season, and it was awesome. I don't know if you watched that. I love the season of Black Lightning, and it was only 13 episodes. Wayne Brady done killed a shitload of people.
Wait, he's on that show now?
He comes in like in the third of the season.
Wow.
He's kind of like Captain America, but also their version of like for metas of like Apocalypse, where he's the original. but
Oh,
he's
no,
from
no,
he's from the
definitely.
40s.
Oh no, I definitely have to watch it.
Yeah, he's a comic book character. His name's Gravedigger. But yeah, they show him like killing a shit ton of Nazis in 2 episodes, like in flashbacks to him. And he's interesting, and he has like a lot of controversial stuff to say that's like I think only that show can say, and I give it to them for doing that. Oh, and they straight up made the one character Geoforce. Like it's basically
Wait, what?
said.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, God,
Yeah,
I hope they end up making the Outsiders.
Oh, they do like a whole basically Outsiders episode in the season where like they're on a plane, they're all in like blackout gear, and they're they're like attacking Markovia. It's really wonky, but like it's good at the same time. I also never knew that Gambi was like a comic book character until I read like I think Final Crisis, because in the comics he's the dude that made all of the Rogue's costumes, and that's why his name is like the Tailor. So
Yeah, I always wondered when I was watching. Like I'm still in season 1.
oh, it's such a good show. Go, you have time, watch it.
I kind of want to just do an out of context watch of the Crisis tie-in.
I don't
hear it.
You can, because it's very much concentrated on the daughter. Like it's almost entirely just her episode.
Yeah, because I keep hearing that that's the most praised episode, or one of the most praised episodes.
Yeah, it's the most comic book thing any of the shows have done, because it's a straight up just like a tie-in, like to a crossover. But yeah, it's like but like I feel like a lot of the context won't make sense unless you've watched season 3. But there is a lot of good stuff in there because it has a lot of to do with like her working with another character. Yeah, I think you could watch it on its own because you'd probably get most of the stuff. But yeah, it's a very, very good show, and they're doing lots of interesting things on it. And yeah, I guess that wraps us up. Don't forget to rate, review, and all that stuff. Al, you have your stuff going on with
VGU.TV.
Yeah, VGU. You're still like putting out a bunch of content while we're all quarantined, which there's no better time to play video games.
Yeah, so Emmett there'll be a bunch of stuff coming out soon from Emmett from the Steam Game Festival in the coming tomorrow. Basically, the next few days there'll be a game a day demo bid from him, and as usual, Star Trek Evolution. So keep your eyes peeled to the VGU or the VGU TV YouTube channel.
Yep. So do that, subscribe, hit the little bell for it so you know when there's new stuff. And yeah, we will catch you guys all in the next episode. I'm Lou Gonzalez.
And I'm Alan Muir, and this podcast stands for truth, justice, American way. Now go wash your hands.